Okay, let's begin with a word of prayer. Father, again, sharpen our sight so that we're not blinded by what we see with our eyes, but we're clearly seeing through our eyes of faith. Again, bring that sight to us and sharpen it in our view so that we may see your will clearly. This we ask in Jesus' name. Amen. Okay, we're in the summer of 29 AD. Now we're going to be in a place called Bethsaida. We've heard the name before. Okay? We'll start with the Gospel of Mark, the 8th chapter, beginning in verse 22. And it is only in Mark that we find this particular story.
Want me to read it?
Please.
Okay.
22 to 26.
Okay. They came to Bethsaida, and some people brought a blind man to him and begged him to touch him. He took the blind man by the hand and led him out of the village. And when he had put saliva on his eyes and laid his hands on him, he asked him, "Can you see anything?" And the man looked up and said, "I can see people, but they just look like trees walking." Then Jesus laid his hands on his eyes again, and he looked intently, and his sight was restored, and he saw everything clearly. Then he sent him away to his home, saying, "Do not even go into the village."
Thank you. Anything a little unusual here? Now, just before, last time, Jesus was down over in Capernaum, and now he has gone back to the fishing area up toward Bethsaida. So it's just another bit of travel that he's made. So he's now back up here in the northeast corner. If you want to see that on the map, he goes from Capernaum up to the fishing village area just south of Bethsaida Julius. So it's up here, this area here, which is rich in fishing. Okay? Whenever you go fishing, go to the intake, because there's where all the good nutrients come in. The fish, every fisherman that does this kind of thing knows that. Or they do not catch fish. So they went up here, and he's up here somewhere, and they bring him this person. Okay, what do we got? What strikes you?
Well, Jesus has done different things for blindness. I mean, he's done the mud packs, now he's just using saliva.
Did we see mud pack anywhere yet?
Well, I don't know, but I know.
Okay,
Well,
all right.
But clearly, this guy had friends who brought him to Jesus.
Correct.
It was important that they get him there, so they had some faith.
Yes, absolutely.
Or at least hope.
Or desperation. But it's only blindness. He's not dying necessarily, okay? So, but yeah, they had some kind of hope. That makes sense.
And this one was different because he didn't get his focus back right away. Jesus asked him,
Yeah.
"Do you see, how are we doing?"
Right. Like Jesus is not effective in his healing. Oh, I'm sorry. Or maybe this guy's face was just so bad he needed an extra shot. A booster, if you will.
A booster.
Thank you.
Yeah. But regardless, he did get healed. And once again, Jesus is saying, "Oh, okay, don't tell anybody. Yeah."
Again, this messianic secret thing.
Yeah.
That's the part I don't understand. Why he did
Really? Okay. Why would he tell him to shut up and say nothing?
I don't know.
Okay, we'll talk about that in a minute.
Read out.
I like this translation because it says he spit on his eyes.
Yeah.
Instead of let's make it nicer. I just think that whatever, I don't care. This is a medical treatment, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Why would he do it? He could have just said, "You have sight." Why did he go through this whole process? Now, remember, he's up in Bethsaida. He's in the Gentile zone. There are still many Jews there. Don't misunderstand. There are Jews there. But it's the Gentile turf. We don't know if this man is Jewish or not. We don't know if he's Gentile. We have no idea. But his friends knew about Jesus. Right?
Yeah.
And they bring him out of the village. That's what yours, I think your translation said village as well. And yours say village?
It just said they brought him. It
Okay.
didn't say where they brought him,
Well-
but it does say don't go into the village.
Yeah,
Okay.
which would make you assume he's out of the village.
Right. Bethsaida Julius was not a village. It was a big city. This is part of my reasoning as creating this fishing village area here. For the fishermen to come and stop, fish, clean up and everything, and then go up here to sell their fish. Okay? Because it's a village. It's a small town. It's a huts. Okay?
Little annex.
And sure, they bring him out of it. Okay? Why? Because Jesus wasn't in it. Jesus was not in the village. Right? Obviously. The ideal and obvious sometimes. And he brings him out, and then he goes through this procedure of pushing the eyeballs in. I mean,
Or something.
wetting them. And then he could see the Ents walking around. Sorry, that's a Tolkien thing. Okay? These tree-like things moving around, which he interpreted as being people.
That'd be like me, you know. I
Yeah,
know
without-
there's
without-
things over there.
Without her glasses, she can't even hear. But without her, she loses her glasses and can't find them because she'd have the glasses to see. Never mind.
Or they're on her head.
No, they just fell off or something. It doesn't matter. So you're seeing so you know it's a foggy situation here, okay? And so he then does it again. He says, he laid his hands on his eyes. Now I would have thought thumbs. Have you ever wanted to see and you put pressure on your eyes and then when you pop them off, they're a little sharper focus?
Briefly.
Very brief, okay? Just maybe long enough to cheat on the eye chart. I'm just kidding. That'll probably get me knocked off internet. Sorry. So he again now presses the eye or puts his hands over them, both of them maybe, I really don't know. And he looks intently where? He looks intently.
Well, yeah, so I didn't say where he was looking, but you can assume
Okay.
that, I would assume that he was looking at the fellow he was trying to heal.
Or was he looking up?
Oh, don't know, maybe.
I don't know. All I know is he looked intently. Okay.
That one,
Thank
it
you.
depends on how you're, so what's this again?
Go ahead.
Okay, so mine is a little bit different here,
Thank you.
but we have to look at the, what's being said and what the pronouns are.
Good.
Then he and
Uh-huh.
his are capitalized, so that's Jesus. So then again, he laid his eyes on his eyes, and then there's
Then
a semicolon.
the
And then
patient,
he looked intently.
yeah.
So he's like, he takes the hands away apparently, and then he's looking and probably blinking and stuff.
There we go.
And then he was restored and began to see everything clearly.
So it's the patient here who
That is
goes
looking intently. Yeah.
and
that-
tries to see.
Yeah.
And in that process, somehow, all Jesus' healing has come together on him.
Yeah.
And he can see everything clearly. Okay? And then he sent him home saying, shh, do not even enter the village. Because they know you're the last questions. Okay, the messianic secret. Let's walk on this. Everybody who encounters Jesus in this time of his ministry makes what assumption when Jesus heals? They call him a prophet, at least. Some even say maybe a Messiah. Now, what's the job of the Messiah?
Preach about God.
No. to
Oh,
bring
no.
Deliverance to the Jews from the Romans.
Deliver the Jews from the Romans. So if he goes back to the village up there among the Gentiles, or in the village area. And he says, this guy is a healer. Maybe he's the Messiah. The others have said so. Then they start going, the one who delivers us from Rome and makes us independent, and we rule the world. Here is that leader from God. And that's not the message Jesus wants. Better to have them shut up than spread that misconception.
So I think there's two more possibilities.
Good, let's have them.
Okay, so one, just the fact that if people know he's there healing and it's free,
Yes, oh yeah.
that he's going to get mobbed to the point where he can't even speak.
Which has happened before.
Sure.
Okay.
Okay, that's one. The other part of it is, if he's asking these people to not tell anyone, it may be so they will tell everybody.
Reverse psychology.
I don't know.
Keep the secret. Hey, I know a secret.
Yeah, don't know.
Interesting. Very interesting. It works that way.
It seems to.
Yeah, because they always go tell. Okay. Very interesting. Okay, anything else you notice here so far?
I love how the people had the faith to have him come and try to heal the guy. I mean, you gotta have faith even, don't you?
No, you could just be desperate.
We have hope.
Hope is not faith. That's a good point. You hope that he's going to do it. Yes, sir.
Well, I'm going to go back to the end here.
Okay.
We're always looking for someone who has the answer. I'll give you an example. My wife has 5 doctors
Okay.
that minister to her.
Okay.
And a friend called and wanted to know how she was. And he says, you need to take her to a doctor. And I said, well, we have a team of 5. And he said, well, maybe you need a new doctor.
6th one.
And I said, well, how many different types of doctors do you want her to go to?
Right.
And I said, the problem in her case is she won't do what they tell her.
Right.
But that's you're always looking for someone who can do the trick.
Right.
And in this case, Jesus, I think, is saying, okay, I want you to understand, that I am not of this world. My kingdom isn't here.
Right.
People had a terrible time understanding. And I think that, like with this man coming to not wanting him to go back to the city or the village, whatever you want to term it was, is that he wasn't ready to be swarmed over by the people and
Yes.
be proclaimed whatever title they would give him. He wanted to continue his ministry, clopping along at this point, and help them understand, because even the disciples couldn't totally at this point understand that there was a difference between his kingdom of the, versus what we were presuming it to be. And he wasn't, as we are taught, he didn't come to rescue them from Rome. He came to save their souls. And that if they followed him with faith, he would promise them healing.
Right.
And I think this was just a sign that he gave this man back his sight and said, this is temporary, but
Right.
it's...
Okay. Well, anything else strike you? Okay. Let's take a look. Well, on the beach, and again, I'm going to remind you that I believe it was on this beach area, that the village was in that area, where they stopped, parked their ships, they unloaded their fish, cleaned their nets, sorted the fish, and sent them up to be sold.
Have a time team come by and check it out.
Okay, let's not go to there. Okay. Near the fishing village of Bethsaida, which means house of fishers. Bethsaida. Okay. People from the city of Bethsaida, Julius. Now this is Bethsaida, Julius is the big town up there. This is down near the beach where we are here, looking up. It's a couple miles away. You don't unload your fish up there. You don't take your boats up there.
Now, assuming that the coastline has changed in
Yes, up
2,000
and down,
years,
yes.
how close would it have been?
The
that
closest it could have been would have been here at this rise, which would have been a mile from Bethsaida.
Still, yeah.
Still. You park your boat, you don't actually draw it up, you just jump out and walk to shore. Okay? So this is Bethsaida Julius up here. Okay, let's go on with it. Only 2 miles to the north, they brought to Jesus a man who had once been able to see, but had become blind. Because it says, and he let's look at it. Where did Mark go?
Oh, mine just says a blind man.
They brought him a blind man, okay, and after spinning.
But you
He
can,
recognized
right.
the figures that he saw. He'll say they're people, but they're trees looking like, because he's seen something before. That's my assumption at this point. Thank you. Whew. Survived that one, hopefully. Anyway, that's where I get the concept that he'd once seen before. They wanted Jesus to heal the man. Jesus took the man away from the village to a secluded place. This sounds familiar, right? Get him away. Jesus said that. Then Jesus spit on the man's eyelids, or did his fingers, however they want to play it. Placed his hands on the side of the man's head, placing the thumbs on the man's eyelids. This is my understanding. They did this. You just do this. It's easier. Any questions, thought, or comments so far? Jesus then removed his hands and backed up. Look around, said Jesus, and tell me what you see. The man answered that he recognized forms and shapes, but nothing clearly. This was a perfect description of how people saw Jesus. The leaders were blind, seeing Jesus as a misguided rabbi. Most, including the disciples, saw Jesus as a healer, prophet, or even as their traditional Messiah. No one yet saw Jesus clearly as the Messiah, a servant leading God's people into a spiritual kingdom. Questions? Thoughts?
Again, the
Comments?
physical and the spiritual.
The two levels are always there.
Interesting.
This is my interpretation, of course. Anything? You're just going to accept what I say, huh? You are wise people. I know somebody's got to challenge me somewhere. I bet maybe not today.
Well, I mean, there's details we just plain don't have on this text.
Unfortunately, it's true. And only Mark gives us any of it.
But you have to suffice it to say they've given us enough to understand the story.
Right.
Right. Okay. All right, let's finish this one up then. Once again, Jesus placed his thumbs on the man's eyes and concentrated on helping the man focus. When Jesus was done, the man could see the world clearly again. And I'm going to rewrite this because I think the comment here that it was he, the patient, the man, who was trying to focus. So I'm going to redo that. Okay? Then Jesus sent the man back to Bethsaida Julius, the city, hometown there, since there was no reason for him to go back to the fishing village. This is my interpretation. Send him home again. Remember, he was brought down to the village. Okay? Send him back. Now, it doesn't say you don't tell anybody. It just says go back.
But telling him not to even go into the village.
Correct.
Makes some
It
assumptions.
says that's where his friends were, down the village. He says, don't go there. Go home. Okay? You know, he doesn't tell him not to say what happened, because he's going to have to. He's got to explain it to somebody. But for some, he just, don't go back to the village. What does that tell us on the spiritual level?
Don't go back to your old
Yes.
glue, just
Yes.
get on to
When
bigger things.
when you've seen the sight of Jesus as he truly is, the Son of God, don't go back to looking in your old ways. And that may include moving away from some other people's way of doing it. Changing your relationship somehow. Don't change what you now can see. Continue to see. Look through the eyes of faith. Anything else?
I think we always have to have something to hang our hat on. In reading the Old Testament right now, I'm up to the book of Esther.
Again.
Oh, I'm sorry, I've been reading the Old Testament and I'm up to the book of Esther.
Okay.
And what I see is we always need to hang our hats on something. It's just like, the first story that comes to my mind is like Moses going up in the cloud and coming down, and in that interim, with him not physically there,
Mm-hmm.
even his brother helped build this calf,
Yeah.
out of the gold and stuff that they had taken from the
Egyptians.
Egyptians.
Right.
And it seems like we always have to have that to lean on, that our faith isn't strong enough to hold us, to carry us that burden. And I know I always think, and when I pray, is God, just give me the strength to get through this day, to trust you, and so on. And that's hard to do. And I think God, right here, the other reason could be that when Jesus healed this man, it takes time for your eyes to heal well enough to get the strength back after he's been blind for so long. I think about when I had cataract surgery. It took time for my eyes to regain that miracle, good sight again.
Okay.
And it wasn't that he just said, go home, relax, and let it heal. And that could be all that Jesus is really saying to this man, is you need time now to let your eyes rest and heal and get strong.
Okay. And I would agree on the physical level. That makes sense.
Yeah.
And I'll also look at the spiritual. Think of that you say, hang your hat on. Think of the churches moving into the field of iconography, where you have all these statues and all these icons, and while they start off fine, helping you focus, they end up, I am worshiping Mary. I am worshiping, this particular disciple, apostle, whatever. As they become my intermediary between myself and Jesus, and then to God. And then you have the Pope. It just gets too precedent setting. It's hard to we have the cross, right? You see the cross, it helps you. You look at, and when you're in church, you look up, you see the cross, and it helps you focus. That's kind of an icon, in a sense, because we need these things. True, we really do, in my opinion. Okay, but we must not go beyond that as a assistant, an aid to help you in your own faith. I have no intermediary between myself and God except Jesus Christ. And Jesus is not an intermediary in most senses at all.
Yeah,
I am directly in relationship to my Father.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the reasons that I really feel blessed to be a Lutheran Christian, because other faith groups, but I'm thinking particularly of the Catholic Church,
Right.
They use the cross that has Christ still on it.
Correct.
Okay? And we don't. To us, it's a
Risen.
visual image that says Christ has risen. He
Right.
has overcome this. He's left us this gift that he sacrificed himself. But the cross no longer has the power that it did.
Yes.
And he's gone. And I like that because, you look at the crosses that are, many different crosses that are out there that symbolize different things and styles.
Yes.
And you're absolutely right. They help us have a sense of faith, but in that. But I like sometimes the messages. It gives me a little extra boost.
Good. I agree.
I'm trying to carefully choose my words because it's just a symbol.
Yeah. Please understand, not all people are the same. There are people who can deal with a mythical a non-visual. There are other people that absolutely have to have something physical. There's a wide spectrum in the human behavior and what we need. So each of us, if I need the cross to look at, fine. If I need a saint, fine. To assist me. I draw the line at they are doing my work for me. I focus on, let's say if I want healing, focus on a saint of healing. But then I go beyond that. I say, this is interesting, but you must go beyond that to the Father yourself. We all have different needs.
I think you can get inspiration and such
Yes.
from these great men and women of faith.
Yes.
But yeah, they're not.
They're not
just
Jesus.
an inspiration. It's just you should see beyond them to where they got their faith, etc.
Correct. Their faith went to looking at Jesus Christ and God the Father. Period. That's where the faith truly is. If we say, I have faith in Jesus, we have faith in Jesus' message that God is forgiving us, that God is giving us salvation. It's like a signpost. Even Jesus. God is the issue. The Father is the issue. Jesus says, pray to the Father. Okay, anything else? Okay, then next time we get together, we're going to see Peter and his confession.